I'm Stephanie, so I'm an admissions counselor here. I'm also an alum of Wagner College, so I kind of know what it's like to be from the student end as well. Oh, look, we have Professor Kim who did join us. I'm glad we worked through the technical difficulties. I know what it's like to come from a student end as well as to be on the other side of it. With that said, I was not a film and media major. I wish I had that creative side of me, but I'm joined by some really great panelists who can definitely speak to that. So I'm going to turn it over to them. And if we maybe want to start with Professor Cartelli or Kim, and then we will turn it over to Renata.
I can start maybe. Oh, Nelson. I'll go first, I guess. So we'll just introduce ourselves. That's what we're doing right now. Yeah. Okay. So my name is Professor Philip Cartelli. I'm one of the co-directors of the Film and Media Studies program, along with Nelson Kim, who's here with us today. I guess just a few things about myself. I have a PhD in visual anthropology from Harvard University, so I have kind of a background in the social sciences as much as in film. And accordingly, a lot of my own film productions are more documentary oriented. So I kind of lead the documentary side of the program, and Nelson, or Professor Kim, sorry, leads the fiction oriented side of the program. But we both teach across disciplines. We teach introductory, intermediate, and more advanced classes. And I guess I'll just leave it at that for now and maybe talk more about the program later.
Hi, I'm Professor Nelson Kim, and as Philip said, we're the co-directors of the Film and Media Studies program. So I am the fiction filmmaker. I'm a screenwriter and a director of narrative films. So as Philip said, we kind of divide the program in that way. But of course, we also do share in organizing the film festival, mentoring our students, advising students, working with our senior film majors, and so forth. And now I'll introduce one of our best and brightest students, Renata.
Hi, I'm Renata. I am a senior film major and proud to be graduating from the department this May. And I have successfully accomplished or completed 2 internships during my time at Wagner, and also have learned everything that I know today at Wagner College through hands-on training and by just taking a lead on events at college, just kind of taking every opportunity that I could. Thanks.
Love it. Thank you. I'm definitely looking forward to talking a little bit about your internships in a bit. Before we jump to that, I have a question that maybe one of our professors can answer for us. As an incoming freshman, do you need to have prior experience working, with film, or can someone who maybe just has a natural passion for it? Do you think would you recommend them to take it on as a major and learn as they go?
Absolutely. There's no background, no previous background in filmmaking required whatsoever. In fact, we frequently have students who come to Wagner intending to major in something else, or having no idea what they want to major in, and they take a film class, sometimes just to get an elective out, or to get an elective requirement out of the way, and they get hooked, or they discover it through a friend, or somebody like Renata drags them to a film event on campus, and then they've got the film bug. So there's absolutely no. I mean, we have some students, such as Renata, who have been doing film and video stuff since they were very young, but many of our students have never touched a camera or edited a frame of video until they get to Wagner.
Perfect. So you hear that? You don't have to be intimidated if you don't have prior experience. You just need that passion to learn. And my next question is maybe related to that. While I know you can major in film and media studies, there's also the option to minor in it, and there's also some different concentrations. Does anyone want to talk a little bit about that and kind of how students can personalize it to fit them?
Sure, maybe I can talk about this one. So we actually right now have 3 concentrations, which are basically just kind of a small focus within the major. So theoretically, every single film major has a concentration. In reality, we're trying to bring these concentrations a little bit more closely together, in part because we have generally a pretty close-knit group of students, and we didn't think it was necessary to kind of separate them as much as we can unite them around the classes that they're more or less all taking in common. The 3 specialty areas, though, of our program are, as we mentioned already, documentary filmmaking, fiction filmmaking or narrative filmmaking, and then also film and critical studies. So for people who are interested in maybe continuing to study film in an academic context, or people who are also interested in film criticism, or even programming or curating as a career. But these are all areas that we kind of cover, both between Nelson and myself, also through our longtime adjunct faculty member, Holly Van Buren, who also formerly worked at the Film Forum, which is a great, really venerable, important movie theater in New York City, and then a number of other New York City professionals who teach, who are as our adjunct faculty, classes like video editing, animation, cinematography, and a number of other classes. In terms of the minor is basically a way for students who are maybe interested in film but aren't sure that they want to major in it, in the form and genres of filmmaking or film studies. So frequently we maybe have students who are doing a major in business, but actually are hoping to work in the film business, who might do a minor in film. And then there are many other students who pursue a film minor just because it's what they're interested in as well.
Great. Yeah, there's definitely lots of options there. And like you said, if maybe someone isn't sure if they want to do a film major, pairing it with another major and sort of kind of figuring out how you're going to take that passion in film to the next level is also an option too. And I like that so many of our professors, like you both, do come with a lot of experience. So students are getting firsthand knowledge from, professionals who have worked in the field. I know we spoke a little bit about different film festivals on campus. Can you maybe talk about the types of film festivals we have and if they're for students or professionals and kind of what we expect when we hold those?
Well, there are a number of film festivals that we have on campus. One of them is the Senior Showcase, which is where the senior film majors show the thesis films they've been working on for the better part of their senior year, which is always very exciting. We get lots, all the families and all the other film students always come to that. There is also an international film festival that Philip and I organize every November with the in collaboration with our colleagues from the Modern Language Department. And for that one, we bring in outside filmmakers to show their work from all over the world. So we've had filmmakers come from Thailand, from Brazil, from Spain, from all over really, and show their work for 4 nights in November. We also have a student-run film festival, which Renata has been in charge of for the last couple of years. So I'll let her talk about that.
Sure. The Student Film Festival is run usually by the film club on campus, which is called Film Society. Very official. The Film Society has been running for several years now, basically since around the start of the film department was when the film club started, which is when Film Society began, and members have been hosting. The real reason was to show off your films at an event to your professors, to your family, and to your friends. And it's now in its well, we couldn't do it this year, but it should be 6th year running, and it's good to say because students get to come and show what they've made, whether it be something that they've designed in class or something that they've created on their own, or like a little passion project. So it's a good place for people to come and just watch funny films or serious films that students get to make, rather, and just it's a good place for students to come show off who they can really be.
Oh, and also I should add that excuse me, there's a new event. We just had it for the second time this past February, I believe, which is a 48-hour filmmaking marathon that's completely student organized and student run, where students will pair up into teams, into filmmaking teams, and they will write, direct, and edit a short film over the course of 48 hours. So it's a sort of marathon, fun event. At the end of the 48 hours, there's a screening and an award ceremony for all the films that participated.
Yeah, so that one's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and hopefully it'll be continuing for many, many years to come.
Just one last thing about film festivals is the Senior Showcase this year has obviously been canceled. We can't have an in-person event since we're not on campus, but we are going to have a kind of virtual Senior Showcase. So actually the advantage is for those of you who wouldn't be able to visit campus anyway, if you do go ahead and check in on wagner.edu/art, which is the art department website, we're actually in the art department. There will be a link popping up on there early next week with where you can access the senior films, that were able to be completed this semester, and enjoy those. And there's a lot of really interesting films, work that we're really proud of. So I definitely encourage people who are interested in our film program to check out that work that our graduating seniors have produced.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I love that. If anyone is tuning in right now and interested in that and is having trouble kind of navigating where to find that on the website, definitely reach out to me or another counselor, and we would be more than happy to make sure you have the proper like links and stuff to access that. Because obviously things are upside down right now, but that's one of the great things about film and video. You can kind of access that wherever you are. So if you're interested, definitely let me know and we'll help you figure out how to view that. I want to pick Renata's brain a little bit because you mentioned a couple of different internships, and I would love to hear more about the types of internships you held, because I know that's a question a lot of students are always curious to know about. And being in the heart of New York City, I'm sure you've had some pretty cool opportunities.
Yes, I have. Freshman year, I was given an opportunity by email, actually. I don't believe it came directly from the film department, but I recall seeing an email about working at a post-production office. And so I hopped on it, sent my resume in a cover letter, and then talked to a student, which I didn't really know worked there at first. I just kind of bumped into her at Hawks and started chatting and brought up that I wanted an internship, and she was like, "Which one?" "Oh, Humble TV, I work there." So I think that through the connection of Wagner, through having Wagner being the one that says like we need an intern, and then also having someone who worked there, that's definitely how I got that one. And that was in Manhattan, which was really super cool. It was something interesting, new way. It's just something new to learn. What does a post-production office look like? It was definitely for commercial work, and which means it's not on the very like creative aspect. For that, I went to a small class sometime my junior year, possibly around, yeah, probably around there when I was well into college, and went to a class hosted at Wagner that showed off or showcased what it looks like to create a film. Like, what does it look like to be like producing a film? And two producers and one director came in and talked to a class that, Nelson actually sent out an invite to everyone. He posted some posters, he sent out emails saying, like, anyone who's interested, come to this because it's a good opportunity to learn something new. And through that, through learning and then talking to the producers afterwards, that's how I landed my second internship, which was on a film set, which was very good, very creative. I think that that's where, if you're really interested in film, that's probably where you want to land. So it's great to know that you can actually be getting these real connections here at Wagner, and you're more likely to land the jobs because it's there's such few people to compete against that it's highly likely that you'll get an internship.
Nice. I love how you kind of took advantage of interning early on. Everyone learned from Renata. She jumped right in. I think it was as a freshman, and that's great. And I like how you took two types of different internships too, so you can really kind of discover what it is you like and you want to do. So everyone learned from Renata. That's definitely what you want to do in college. I want to shift gears a little bit and also put out a reminder to students tuning in. Type in your questions if you have. I definitely want to make sure we answer whatever it is you want to know. But for now, I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about the editing lab, and the different types of programs and projects that students would typically work on there.
Sorry, I had trouble finding my microphone button. But I do know how to use editing software. And so we actually have two, well, maybe let me talk a little bit just in general about our equipment offerings, because I think one of the things that maybe people tuning in or watching this at some later point won't know about our program is that the Film and Media Studies program at Wagner is really quite young. So it's actually about 4.5, 5 years old now. So we've had, I think, 4 graduating classes as of now. It's the youngest film program in the New York City area. One of the major advantages to that is that all of our equipment is no more than 5 years old. So if you go to look at a lot of other film programs, they might have some kind of old dinosaur-like cameras or even editing stations lurking around. All of ours are relatively recent in that. So we're lucky to have that. We have students shooting on professional or prosumer, that's kind of part professional, part consumer level, video cameras, and using professional level sound and audio recording equipment. So these are things that I think are important that prospective students should know, and that also things that we're really proud of. We have 2 editing spaces, one of which has 15 editing stations, and that's where we frequently teach classes, but it also serves as the editing lab that is dedicated to the Film and Media Studies program for film students and those enrolled in film classes to access during off hours. So we have probably, I think, at least 6 to 8 hours. Did I freeze maybe? Sorry, did I freeze? Okay, and then generally on the
There we go,
weekends
you're
it's
back.
open all day. So I'm back. Okay. Well, how much did you miss?
You were saying that the editing labs is widely available during the week and for very long
Okay.
hours during the weekend.
Okay, so you did that. Okay, sorry about that. And then we have an adjacent space, which is actually a space that's specifically dedicated for film majors and can sometimes be open for those who aren't majors who are working on independent projects. Actually, when the pandemic started and we actually had to close down, we were in the process of kind of rebooting that space. So when we're back in the fall, as I assume we will be, or whenever we're back, we'll have 3 new top of the line Mac Pro stations in there. So there's actually one station that's going to be dedicated for video post production, color, and visual effects, and the other one that's going to be dedicated for sound post production. So I am really excited about those, and I think that these are going to be kind of major additions to the program, just to make sure our students are producing professional caliber work that they can distribute after they graduate.
Yeah, definitely. I had the opportunity to go, I think it was into the editing lab earlier this year, and it is definitely state of the art. And like Professor Cartelli said, it's all new equipment. So it's definitely exciting. Not many film students at other schools may be able to say that, but you will be working on like the best of the best, which is really cool. I have another question for Renata. I'm going to put you on the spot. I would love to hear what your favorite class as a film and media major has been, and also what your most challenging class was. Hopefully it's not one of these professors.
I'll start with my most challenging class because I think that it's easier to think of those times in life. I was definitely challenged in one of Nelson's courses, screenwriting. I think that it's something that, not many people know how to write a screenplay. So it's really interesting to learn. And, going into it with no experience, you try your best and then realize just how maybe poorly you're doing. And I think that was the challenge for me was, knowing that you're bad at something and just continuing to try your best. Screenwriting is a difficult challenge, but it's also, I think, very inspiring. I think it really it is inspiring. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. That's all I can say about it, is that maybe it has made me want to write more, the challenges that I've come through. I think one of the more fun courses was definitely those introductory, like learn how to use these cameras, like go out there and shoot whatever you want. These were fun to me because I was someone who really didn't know how to use a camera. Sure, I maybe knew the basics of what a good shot should look like, and maybe some basics on how to use iMovie, but did I know, how to use and how to toy with these buttons on the camera and what they can really do and how to get good audio? This was something really fun for me to learn. That and editing, learning the ins and outs of like really really intense editing. I think that these were the fun times, and you can learn them pretty soon off in your career as a film student.
Nice.
I will also add that Renata did indeed, she was very challenged in the screenwriting class, but then not even 1 or 2 semesters later, she wrote and directed an excellent short film. And the script that she's written for her thesis film, which unfortunately the shoot has been pushed due to the pandemic, but she will soon be shooting her thesis film, and the script for that is extraordinary.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
See that? We need your professors to brag for you because you selling yourself short. I like how that one of your most challenging classes obviously turned into like a really great learning and growing moment for you. I'm looking forward to checking that out. I'm sure it'll be really great. I have another question for maybe Professor Kim or Cartelli. We kind of have been speaking about it a little bit, but I just want to know, how do you guys really take advantage of, being in New York City and so close to Manhattan? How do you kind of help your students kind of navigate all that?
you want to take?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'll take a part of it at least. um, in many ways. So I think Renata has already alluded to this, the access that students have to internships, to job opportunities, to actual working opportunities, some of which she's also participated in on film sets, and also just the access to screening spaces and venues. So we also have a student, another member of Renata's graduating senior class, who's doing an internship, or was doing an internship this semester at Union Docs, which is a documentary screening center in Brooklyn. And we've had a lot of other students who have had internships at different post-production houses in New York and Brooklyn. Some of them went on to actually have jobs there afterwards, after they graduated. So those are kind of key, just questions of access. Like, we're in New York City, so we're able to access all those things. The other thing that I think both Professor Kim and I are really excited about is, especially in relation to the film festival and film programming, is the ability to bring in filmmakers to show their work, to screen their work, to discuss their work with students. So we regularly do this throughout the year, not only during film festivals, but including in our classes. Events that happen at Lincoln Center, like the New York Film Festival, or documentary or fiction programs throughout the year, bring filmmakers from around the world to New York City. And so we're able to invite them to campus on a regular basis, which is something we certainly do take advantage of. Maybe going to say something else, but I actually forgot. So I don't know if Nelson has anything else to add about that.
Excuse me. Yeah. I'll just add that, yeah, as Philip said, our being located in New York City is just a massive gift to us and to our students, because other than Los Angeles, there's nowhere where more film production, more film activity is happening in the entire country than New York City. And it's also, I would argue, probably a more diverse range of film activity than anywhere else in the country, because not only do we have big budget movies and TV shows being shot here, huge numbers of independent films, experimental work, documentary work, major film institutions such as MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art, and the Film Society at Lincoln Center. So whatever a student's interest is, whatever a student's specific interest is in film, they can find an internship opportunity, or a work opportunity, or an opportunity to work as a production assistant. Those opportunities are out there in New York City, and of course we do what we can to try to help to landing those internships and landing those positions.
I would also just note that sometimes these opportunities are almost too available. They're too abundant. And so I've sometimes even had, sorry to mention this in front of everyone, Renata, but I've had Renata say to me, oh, can I skip class to participate in this film shoot? And I have to say, well, no. And then she says, why not? It's film experience. And so obviously I'm right, but she also has a good point, and I'm happy that she has access to those experiences, and as do other students. So it really is, it's an embarrassment of riches. And the last thing maybe just to add in is that we have we are a young program, so none of our alumni of the film program can really be more than a few years older than our current majors, right? So the oldest one is probably 25, 26. I think a lot of people are interested in hearing sometimes about alumni networks when they consider a school or a major track, or a discipline that they want to study, something that they want to go into in the future. Wagner is kind of in a unique situation, because even though we have such a young film program and a young film major, we actually have a number of kind of Hollywood heavy hitters who have actually studied other disciplines at Wagner. So just in the past year, I think probably it was the end of the fall, we had Rich Barada, who's a producer in Hollywood, mainly works in New York City, but who was one of the producers on the film Joker and also The Irishman. So not minor films, right? Who came to campus and talked about his experience working with the directors of those films and actors, and kind of just the the background and experience of being a producer. And in past years, we've had other Wagner alumni who are now also producers come, and I think even able to facilitate some student participation in film sets, and the film industry is part of that. So that's something to add in. It's definitely also connected to our proximity to New York, that we're able to have people out so easily, and that there is this kind of this industry, but also all of these screening spaces, really not far at all away from campus.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I think it's obviously the closeness to Manhattan, but also just the close community, like you've mentioned, of just being a Wagner student, and kind of how we are a small community, but we are small but mighty. And even Renata, she got one of her first internships through a Wagner connection. And, we have professors and adjuncts who are really like working in the field, and have connections and experience as well. So it's definitely, there are so many opportunities and so many ways you can kind of run with what you want to do, which is exciting. I'm just going to put one final reminder out there. If anyone has any questions, now would be the time to send them in. And if not, then I'm going to maybe ask what might be our final question, which I want to hear a little bit about how, as a film and media studies major, your senior year thesis differs a lot from the traditional thesis that a student would write for a major, being as a film student. Could someone talk a little bit more about that and what that entails?
Can I start?
Absolutely.
Great. I think that the thesis you're completing as a film major here at Wagner is going to be rewarding and possibly even more challenging than anyone else's, in the sense that, sure, you're not writing 10 pages of research, and maybe to you that's boring. To me that's boring, but maybe to you that's fun. I don't know. This is something like, yes, you'll be writing proposals, and they aren't that long. You're writing a script, you're doing things that you actually like to do if you're into film, and it's something that is, it's great for you as an individual going into real life as a filmmaker, because you are really, really doing everything it takes to make a film. And if you haven't yet made a film, or if you don't make a film throughout your experience at Wagner College, you will, because by senior year you have to, and that's kind of like your rewarding experience by the end of the 4 years, is to make a real film, and to actually go through the process of what it looks like if you need funding for it, and what it looks like, and how to write for funding, and how to write a script, and all of these little step-by-step pieces that it takes to really create, and then down to actually shooting and finding cast and finding members to help you with holding the boom pole, etc. You're really, really going into the world of film through your senior thesis, and it's a great way to end your experience at Wagner.
Great. Reminder, if anyone wants to check out those senior year projects, definitely let us know. We'll direct you to them. I'm sure it's, as you said, a very rewarding experience to see like all the tiny pieces come together in the finished project. So I definitely want to check it out, and I'm sure some of you do too. So just let us know, and we'll send you the links for that. I know I said that was our last question. However, a question has snuck in. So maybe someone can help answer this one. Someone wants to know, can anybody join the film club, and what do you do in the club?
Yeah, anyone can join. You
All are
will
welcome.
see posters, maybe you'll see emails or social media posts. More often, I find that posters are the way to grab students' attention. So, it's something that you can forget about for now, or don't. But you'll see a poster about Film Society on campus, and usually there's like a come to this meeting on this day at this time at this location. And from then on, you will be connected with the film students who are involved in Film Society, which is really great, because you're not going to find many other film students on campus unless you really come to this club, because it's where everyone who likes to watch films, write films, and make movies, or even just talk about them, or just know people who like them, or maybe you like to act. These are things that we need as this film society. So it's fairly easy to join. You just go to a meeting, or email them, say, yeah, I'd like to join, maybe I'll go to this meeting, etc.
Can I just add one thing? I'm not going to step on Renata's toes with the Film Society, but in relation to just what senior majors have to accomplish during their final year, I think it's just important to emphasize that what we do is, I don't think it's necessarily more or less than what other people are doing in other departments, although like Renata, I of course would prefer to make a film than write a research paper. But we take students during their entire senior year through the entire production process. So they begin in the fall with either the writing of their screenplay or the development of a documentary or an experimental film project. They write a proposal. In some cases, they may come up with a budget. And these are documents that are revised and presented and reconsidered. Students practice how to do pitches in front of an audience. So again, it's not the film industry, but it's meant to prepare people for the possibility that someday they may be wanting to make a film and that they need to be able to describe and present that film to possible supporters or funders. And then obviously there's a production process, writing the screenplay for those who are in the fiction track. And then most of the spring semester is supposed to be, the first half is kind of students shooting their films, and the last month or two is them editing, post-production, color correction, sound design, which is basically what we're finishing up with right now. So that senior year really does kind of reflect the whole cycle of the film production process.
Nice. Yeah, I love how it's sort of your senior year as a film and media studies major is sort of a culmination of everything, and it's kind of getting you ready to leave maybe those college years and step into the professional world. So it's pretty cool. It looks like we may have another question coming in. Someone who joined a little bit late wanted to know, what editing software do you use? So I know we spoke about it a little bit before, but maybe we could just touch on that again.
Sure. We use we were talking about the editing spaces earlier on. So if you missed that, you can maybe, if this is put online later,
It will be.
yeah, then you can look back at that section. But we basically use Adobe Premiere Pro on all of our editing stations. It's also something that students have access to in other parts of the school, including the library. There's some stations that have that software. But yeah, again, our sense is that Premiere is the most widely used piece of software in the professional world. There's obviously other software. There's other professional level software like Avid, which we don't teach on, but which students are interested in, more than welcome to use. And software like Final Cut Pro is just not used as much as the professional level. So again, that's the main editing software. We do have access to other post-production software, visual effects software like Adobe After Effects and DaVinci Resolve on the color correction station. And when our new space opens in the fall, editing space opens in the fall, we'll also have a sound station that'll be using the software Pro Tools. So there's a lot of software, but again, the quick answer is Adobe Premiere. Yeah.
Great. Thank you guys so much. I think that is all our questions for today. If there's anything that you guys feel that maybe was left out, definitely.
Things. One thing that we get asked a lot by prospective students, and especially by parents of prospective students, is how does our program prepare you for what happens after college? And the answer to that is, people are very concerned because they hear that the film industry is so cutthroat and it's so competitive. But what I always try to tell people, and I think even Renata can back me up on this, having dipped her toe into the industry, is that there is a lot of work out there. It is true that it's competitive in the sense that if your dream is to direct $200 million blockbusters for Disney or Marvel, yes, it's very competitive. You may or may not end up doing that, in your lifetime. But it's also true, and I firmly believe this, that this is such a huge industry. There are something like 2 million people employed in the film and television industry in this country. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There is so much work out there that people will, if you are devoted to this field, and you work hard at it, then you will find employment. You will find jobs. There are so many different kinds of jobs out there, whether it's screenwriting, directing, producing, editing, cinematography, or on the business side of things, or in the programming, curating, distribution, development. It's such a wide variety of positions and jobs and interests available that anybody who's determined to can find a way, and I firmly believe that. So.
And I'll just add on to that is that really I'm just going to repeat something that I said before, but at Wagner, you are competing against fewer members that are trying to enter the film industry. So it's more likely that you will be getting the jobs over others at other locations, and the ones that have, like, 1,000 kids at a school fighting for that film job,
And Renata can say that because she gets most of those jobs because she's always super enthusiastic about going after them. So if anybody has any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Philip anytime via email. It's philip.cartelli@wagner.edu and nelson.kim@wagner.edu. So feel free to reach out anytime with questions, concerns.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, panelists and attendees. And yeah, if anyone has any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either the professors, who are so nice to just give their emails, or me. We'd be happy to help and provide more information about the Film and Media Studies major and all the exciting things they're doing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.